Welcome to the Eureka Chamber Chatter Podcast. The Eureka Chamber of Commerce represents a partnership of business and professional people. When you join the chamber, you gain a new business partner, as well as opportunities to meet potential clients, expand contacts, increase management expertise, and become involved in issues that affect your business and community. This podcast has been created to further the conversation between all of the businesses, first responders, government leaders, and other notable guests with the residents and potential residents and business owners of the city of Eureka. Now, from the Realty Executives premier studio in Eureka, Missouri, it's the Eureka Chamber Chatter Podcast. All right, it's another Chamber Chatter Podcast. I'm Bo, along with some dear friends of mine. For a lot of years, it's Kim and Chuck Maher. They are what I like to call the power couple of west of St. Louis. Realty Executives Premier Studios is where we are in the office in Eureka, right next to Dickie Bub behind White Castle in Eureka. This is where all of our podcasts are done. And by the way, if you are interested in being part of the Eureka Chamber of Commerce, simply reach out and maybe we could do a spotlight video for you, or maybe we could do a podcast like this and talk about you and your feelings and all the things that are on your mind. Chuck, Kim, power couple, married for how long?
Long time.
A long time. You just celebrated an anniversary not too long ago.
39 years.
That's a beautiful story. Welcome. I knew you guys when you had a restaurant in High Ridge, and I first came across you guys came to my house with food, and I loved you for that. But when did you get into the real estate business? That's what intrigues me. That's the missing link I don't know about.
I actually got into real estate at the same time I bought the restaurant.
I had no idea.
I was in school to become a realtor at that time, and a friend called, asked me if I wanted to buy a restaurant, and I said, sure, let's do it, and I did. And
so it all happened at one time. And Chuck, what were you doing at that time?
Construction.
Okay, well, that's a match made in heaven.
Right.
You get homes, you can fix them, and you can flip them. Did you do the flipping thing?
We did for several years. Once we opened a brokerage, we just didn't have the time to do both.
Right.
Owning the brokerage and being available for the agents, it takes a lot of time. So that was more important than flipping houses.
And do you like getting out of the, getting the tool belt off and doing the business end of it? Do you enjoy that? Yeah,
I do. It's nice, though, because the construction part of it feeds right into real estate. I can go into a house and I can kind of look at things and know what needs to be fixed, what doesn't need to be fixed. When we opened our office, we got 4 offices. I did the build out on all 4 offices, so I was able to do that myself.
Right.
Which it all kind of feeds together. But it's nice to be able to do the work if you want to. But it helps us, like in real estate. I know what I'm talking about when I see something that's wrong.
That doesn't look right. You can go, hey, you better get
codes or whatever. We
sure.
have a little bit of advantage over some people.
Kim, when you got into real estate, you just decided, this could be a great career for me. Did you ever think you'd get to where you are as far as having 4 offices and all these agents underneath you, or were you just out there hustling?
It was never a plan to become a broker and run several offices. We love what we're doing now, and we wouldn't change it. But when I started in real estate, it was just because it was something I wanted to do, and then I just kind of fell in love with it. I loved finding people houses, and every day was a new adventure.
And not a lot of investment in school time, right? Because it's a pretty quick school you get through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can go to school. If you do day classes, it's 48 hours. You can get licensed after doing the 48 hours, take your test, do another 24 hours practice, and then apply for your real estate license.
Well, the culture that you guys have built with Realty Executives Premier is, it's generational now because your son is in it. Actually, is more than one son involved in real estate?
2 of my sons and
daughter-in-law.
2 of my daughter-in-laws.
Oh, okay, both of them. So yeah, it's turned out to be a generational business. Everybody seems to be enjoying what they're doing. Like you said, you're able to hopefully find a dream home for somebody. You guys are great in social media too, because your agents, I guess they learned that from you, that when you see somebody stand in front of a house and it's just sold and there's smiles on their faces, that's the goal.
Oh, absolutely.
And so Do you find yourself shopping for a new home for yourself on a regular basis?
Every day.
Maybe we should talk to Chuck. No. And,
Always looking.
But being around the culture of your offices, you have 4 offices now. The newest one in Washington. The culture of the people is what I enjoy, and I feel like I'm part of your family. And I know you tried to get me into real estate a few years ago, and I don't know what was like the brick wall for me. I didn't think it was for me, but it is absolutely for the agents that you have, because everybody you see that's in your offices or at the charity events that we've done, the Poker Bash or Eureka events, they're just so into it, and I think that breeds a good competitive culture amongst each other, right?
We've got a great culture here in our office. I mean, totally no drama. We're like a big family. We run our office.
Yeah, families don't have drama at all. I'm just kidding.
Totally different than most of your typical traditional brokerages. We look out for each other. We help each other. We share ideas with each other. We network with each other. We have mastermind classes. We still have weekly meetings. We have agent appreciation events all the time. I mean, we're there and we support our agents 100%, 24/7. And I mean, it's just not something we're saying, it's something we do.
I think that's probably what's so amazing about both of you guys. And I don't mean to just sit here and stroke you guys, but what's amazing is it seems like you're always working, but yet it seems like you're not always working. I don't know. I don't know. It's a passion. I guess if you can follow your passion, it doesn't feel like work every single day.
Exactly.
I would guess. Let's talk about the weirdness of the last year and a half and how that's affected the real estate market. I don't know, if the bubble's still expanding, or, I always hear, there's not much inventory when it comes to homes, but yet on your social media pages for you and your agents, people are selling and people are buying.
I think we had a meeting this morning. I think this second half of this year, things are going to kind of calm down a little bit. We're still seeing multiple offers, but not like we were, and not the ridiculous prices that they were. The appraisals are starting to come in more normal instead of stepping out. Loan applications are down a little bit from what they were, and we're seeing more FHA and USDA loans coming in, contracts coming in where they weren't being accepted before because it was pretty much a cash offer and you had to overbid and waive your appraisals and stuff.
And inspections too?
We try to. I don't think it's a good idea, and
not
our
at
agents,
all.
no, and we kind of go down that road where we're here to protect our buyers and our sellers.
Sure.
And we give them the best information we can, and then it's up to them, but we try to make sure that they're protected. I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to waive your inspections on a house.
That's scary territory. You don't want to be in.
It's a liability issue too, I think.
But people that want, for those people that want to sell where they're at or move from where they're at to get into a home of their dreams, and they see that, it's the emotion that takes over the common sense, like buying a vehicle. Is it really best to buy this really expensive vehicle? Probably not, but your emotion wants it, and so that's why we're like, we don't need to do a plumbing inspection if that's a thing. We'll just bypass that. But then, like your daughter-in-law Natasha posted, and I spoke about it, was that, all of a sudden you bypass these inspections, and these are the problems you are going to have to deal with because you can't go backwards, right?
Correct.
Right, exactly. And I mean, we talk about it almost every week in our meetings. We'll bring it up, and let our agents know that we don't feel it's in the best interest of their clients, and please educate the buyers so they know. Because once they close on the house, if they're going to waive inspections, problems are going to come up. I mean, typically when they have inspections in a normal market, there's always something that comes up on inspections that is negotiated and generally fixed, or they're given a credit. So, it's just ludicrous that they go about waiving inspections, and then some will end up with thousands of dollars in unforeseen repairs. And, we don't want to see that. We don't want to get the phone calls from upset buyers. So we're really educating them.
Let's talk about the numbers and the inflated values that are going on. When the other shoe drops down the road, Kim, you're the numbers person, right? Between the two of you?
I would say yes.
Yes. So let's project 2 years out, and I know you're not a gypsy, you can't read minds, and you can't look at the future. You can't read the future, but what's your best guess in a couple of years of a home that, sold in this era in a couple of years and the value drops? What happens to those buyers?
Well, if the buyers maintain their job and they can afford the payment, as long as they keep making their payment, they're going to be okay. But if the market goes upside down and let's say they lose their job or there's a medical emergency in the family and they lose one of their incomes, they could have problems because they're not going to be able to refinance the loan because of loss of income.
And loss of equity or value,
Exactly. They may not be able to sell because they're going to be upside down. So in the short term, it could be problems. In the long term, I'm sure it'll end up averaging back out in prices. They'll come up. I mean, it's just the nature, of the market.
We kind of went through this back in 09 and 10. It was the same situation, but it was different. The housing prices, the market was strong. The pricing was up. Anybody could get a loan if you're pretty much breathing, and they were paying top dollar for houses.
Right.
And then once the bubble bursted, the housing values come down, and a lot of the new construction homes lost a lot of equity in their homes.
Yeah.
And the people, unfortunately, couldn't sell because they owed more on their house than what it was worth. And that's when you got into short sale situations and foreclosures. I don't think you're going to see that as much this time. There's still going to be some, but the home values have come up so much that most buyers or sellers have equity in their homes now, where back then they didn't have the equity.
Right.
So hopefully it balances itself out. But you're going to see some people that are going to lose their homes, unfortunately, because the prices of what they paid for it, and when they adjust, they're not going to be able to sell it.
I've heard a horror story that somebody shared with me. I don't know where I heard it, but the house was listed at 5.25, which is that's a pretty big home,
right.
And it was a bidding war, which you guys have dealt with pretty regular these days, and it ended up selling, or was going to sell, or the bid was going to be like $650, right? So it went from 5.25 overbid, $5,000, $10,000, whatever, over asking. And the real estate person I was talking to, I don't believe was in your organization, but said to the buyer, this is not going to be worth that. Yes, you can get that now, but it may not be worth that down the road. So that's the scary part.
Right.
And you said that the overbidding. See, I want things on sale when I shop for clothing, or I want to buy something on sale. And these over asking bids are crazy. Can you give me a scenario without giving specifics, like some things that you've seen, like that have just went?
Well, we just had a house last week that went $90,000 over list price. The buyers and the thing is, we tell our sellers too. I mean, don't spend the money before you get it.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't appraise out, which that one, there was a different situation. We got some that are $20,000, $30,000 over list price, and if it doesn't appraise out, the seller's already spent that money before they get it.
Wow.
And it doesn't close, then they're upset. What we're doing, if we get a contract comes in, we ask for a proof of funds letter, make sure that they have enough money to put down.
So a pre-approval letter is important.
Well, not just a pre-approval, but a proof of funds, because they're overpriced. Say you got a pre-approval letter on that house for 5.25.
Yep.
Well, they still got to have the funds to go to that $650.
Sure.
So they got to have those funds available to pay the difference.
If it doesn't appraise.
If it doesn't appraise.
I
So
gotcha.
they got to have their money for their down payment on a $525,000 house. If you're putting down 20%, it's $100,000. Plus, they got to have another $100,000 to pay for the difference on that they overbid. So now they got to have $200,000.
Oh my goodness!
So we always try to protect our sellers because we don't want to take a contract and tie a house up that it's not going to close.
Right.
So we do ask for a proof of funds letter to make sure that the funds are available. The one that was we said was $90,000 over. The people had a significant amount of money in the bank that showed that they had the money to pay the difference. Because we don't want to get the buyer or the seller in a situation where they can't buy the house.
Right. And it seems like the building homes has not slowed down hardly at all. It did in COVID. It did during COVID a little bit.
No, not really. I think the reason why is they were looking at homes that were getting beat out on so many contracts where they could go into a builder, a new construction, and they could just write a contract and be done with it. They're not bidding against anybody else. But that's kind of changing too because the builders wrote contracts and the price of lumber and materials have went up, And they're actually coming back to some of these people that have written 3 or 4 months ago, and are saying, we're either raising the price or we'll let you out of contract. So then we're starting all over again. So that's something we're seeing and dealing with now also.
Yeah, and although about a week ago at the time of this taping, I did hear lumber prices were coming down a little bit.
They're starting to, correct.
Maybe not be what they need to be right, but yeah, I mean, everybody was just freaking out. We thought toilet paper was the thing people were after. Who knew lumber was going to be?
Well, the builders, they normally adjust their prices quarterly.
Right.
And some of the local builders here were adjusting their prices weekly.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, it was a huge thing because of the lumber shortage and prices. I mean, it was a daily thing that, things were just like stock markets moving around.
Well, my wife and I spend a lot of time on, online sites of looking at homes and stuff, which we can reach out to Realty Executives Premier if we're interested in something. And I have reached out to you, actually, shopping for my dad. But have you seen this before where it said all offers need to be in by Tuesday at 10 a.m.? I mean, it's not even a matter of like going to an open house, saying I'm going to put a contract on it, whatever. It's like, nope, the sale's going to happen here, so get your best, last, and final in. I've never seen this. Of course, you've been in the industry a long time. Have you ever seen that?
I've been doing this now 26, 27 years,
Yeah.
and I have not seen a market like this ever.
Gosh.
This market is, it's just crazy. I mean, there's just no other word for it. Almost every house on the market now, agents are putting out there that, they're going to let it be shown for 2 or 3 days and then all offers in by a certain time.
Right.
Where in years gone by, it's always been an offer comes in, it's presented, and you either get an acceptance or a counter. And that's not happening now.
That is.
The other thing with all these contracts coming in, a lot of the agents, and that's one of the things we train our agents, and Kim and I are always available, but we see so many different scenarios on these contracts coming in, and we're getting 20, 25 contracts coming in and weeding through them and actually digging in and seeing what the terms of the contract are because they're so confusing. Like I said, Kim's been doing it for 27 years. I've been doing it 25. We've seen a lot of situations over the years that we're able to kind of work way through it and be available for our agents.
So the days of I'm going to put a contingent offer in, like if I'm a buyer and I need to sell my house first, that like probably doesn't even happen much anymore, does it?
Not right now.
Not right
no.
now.
What we're doing, in fact, my phone just rang. We had a couple that wanted to put a bid on a house this morning. They called a lender and they're doing a bridge loan.
Do you need to take a call?
No, it's okay.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay.
But they're going to do a bridge loan where they can purchase the new house without selling their house, where they can go in with a non-contingent offer. Because if they go in with a contingent offer, they're not going to get it.
Nobody's going to look at that because they're looking for cash.
Correct.
They want it funded right away. So you're saying a pre-approval letter ain't probably enough in this environment. A pre-funded, what did you call it?
Well, you want a pre-approval letter.
For your financing,
Right.
as a purchaser.
What we do, our buyers, we actually have them ready. They're pre-approved, but they actually, there's pre-qualified and pre-approved where they go in, the lender's already pre-approved, make sure everything's done. They've got their tax records, they've got everything done. They're ready to go. It's just a matter of finding the right house.
Okay. Are you guys at any of your 4 offices getting a lot of calls from people that may want to put their house on the market and need that advice on whether they should or not? What do you say to them?
Well, I actually just met a couple last week, and I advised them. I mean, this is our business to sell homes, but our business, I mean, we've built our business of being honest with people.
Of course.
And building relationships. We've made a lot of good friends over the years through real estate. And I had a couple call me last week, and I advised them, I mean, this is probably not in your best interest to sell your house.
Right.
I set them up with a lender. They're refinancing their home, and it was the best thing for them. And they called and thanked me, and they've given me 2 referrals.
A lot of people want to move because they want to make that nut. If they can sell their house for X amount of dollars over what it's worth to them, they want to do that. But then people don't have a place to go to.
Correct.
I think there was a young couple that sold their big house and had to move into a condo, and I heard that the rumor was they couldn't even find a storage unit to put their stuff.
Right. They're storing stuff with family members because the storage units are all full.
Thank God for the family members for stepping up, emptying out that basement.
Too, the apartments, I mean, trying to find a place to rent, especially if you're going to do a short-term rent, if you're building a house or something, it's very hard to do right now.
Can we, now I know you guys don't sell insurance, but do you advise your buyers and sellers on insurance when you're buying a home? Because I heard that to make sure you have enough insurance to rebuild that home at today's prices. I mean, do you know any of that information?
Yeah, but it's not something we advise them on.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there's an insurability clause within the contract that we do talk to them on,
Right.
and let them know that there's a certain time period that they've got to contact an insurance agent to make sure the house, number one, is insurable. And
point.
that, so they can get quotes and get those to the lender, because they've got to get escrows set up. And the insurance agents are very good at what they do, and so they advise them on replacement cost and the amount
But that
of
is a
insurance they
thing.
need
That
to
is a
rebuild.
thing. Yeah, but it is a thing because people that bought their insurance policy 20 years ago and have just paid the premium every year are finding out that if their house were to burn to the ground, God forbid, that their policy wouldn't replace it dollar for dollar.
Well, it shouldn't be that way, because I know our insurance company. Every time it's renewable, they give me a new quote based on current rebuilding cost.
Okay.
And my insurance just keeps going up and up and up.
Wonderful. Suckers bet. No, it's not. I didn't say that out loud. What are so if you have this idea, you think you can make a lot of money on your home, and you're listening to this podcast going, I want to gain as much education about this as I can. Holding tight might not be a bad idea, but building or buying a brand new built home from a builder or a private contractor or whatever, is that a good move? And can they come through you to do that?
They can do that. Yes, we represent a lot of new home construction. It doesn't cost the buyer anything. The builder's paying a commission, so it doesn't cost the buyer anything to be represented. And it depends on the situation. I mean, right now you're probably looking at 6 to maybe a year and a half out, depending on the builder.
Right.
If you got that much time to wait, and then where you're going to live at in the meantime. We have buyers or sellers that have sold their house and live with family members until they find a house. If you got a family member that you can do that with. The other thing that we're dealing with right now is forbearances.
Which is?
The government, when COVID hit, they would the forbearance, forgive the loan, the monthly payments.
Okay.
And it was originally going to be 6 months, and it was extended out to 12 months. Now it's 18 months.
Is this where they tack on the payment on the end of the loan?
Well,
or is that something different?
They're kind of scrambling right now to lenders, because the way it was originally set up, the forbearance was for a 6-month period.
Right.
And at the end of that 6 months, you were due, all that money was due at one time.
Oh, boy.
Well, now it's been out for a year and a half. People don't have that kind of money. If you figure if your house payment's $2,000, it's $3,600. But then they don't realize too, well, I didn't make my escrow payments, my taxes and insurance for the last 18 months. And that could be another several $1,000s. So now you're $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000 in the hole or
Right.
more. On a small house, on a big house. We had one that closed a couple months ago. They were $40,000 upside down. Not upside down,
goodness.
but to catch back up. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you got to be current on your payments to get a loan.
What am I talking about where they put the payment on the end of the loan?
Well, that's what there was a modification, old modification, and a lot of the lenders are doing that. That's not the way it was originally set up, but some of the lenders are doing that because they don't want a bunch of foreclosures.
Absolutely. They have no use for it.
Right.
I mean, they would have to turn those around.
But then they've got to qualify for the new loan too, because their payments are going to adjust because of escrows and stuff like that. They got to catch back up on that. So
Wow.
It's kind of, like I said, a double-edged sword. Right now, some of the people that are going through forbearance are deciding to go ahead and put their house on the market because they have the equity, and then they can catch back up and start over again.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But again, you're back living with a family member or temporary housing for 3 months, 4 months to catch back up, because you got to be, like I said, 90 days current to establish your credit and be able to move forward. But that's an option for a lot of people that they didn't have back in 2010. That's what we were just talking about.
I want to shift gears about commercial property. When you go to become a real estate agent, is it your choice to sell residential or commercial, or is it a separate kind of schooling that you have to take?
It's the same schooling that you take.
Okay.
There's just different training and education. If you're going to go into big commercial, like shopping centers and things like that, versus small commercial, our agents sell small commercial. But when it comes into big commercial, there's separate education that people need to have.
And out of your 4 offices, and by the way, I always notice on your social media, you're always adding new agents to your crowd. At last count, I heard there was 80 agents?
Yes.
Is it, what is it now?
It's about 80.
Is it? Okay. Oh, so you got rid of some of them. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Well,
kidding.
we have several agents also in our referral division.
Okay, and do many of your agents deal with the commercial real estate that's out there, and what's the trends of that right now? Because everybody buys online.
Right. I mean, several of the agents do sell small commercial, which are buildings in Kemswick, in the city of Pacific, Eureka, Washington. So we list a lot of commercial properties, but they're not major complex shopping centers.
Of course. And are you seeing business owners wanting to open up in Eureka? I mean, Eureka seems like it's booming left and right. Do you see businesses wanting to be out in this community?
There is. It's just like everything else. Eureka, Pacific. I mean, the real estate is only a limited amount, right?
Yeah.
And there's just not much available to build on right now, unfortunately. And things are expanding out. The city limits are growing. I mean, Eureka used to stop at the Merrimack. Now it goes on the other side of Merrimack.
Right.
It's going west towards Pacific, and Pacific is coming east towards Eureka. So the footprint is expanding, so that's going to help. But as far as commercial real estate, it's just a limited amount of properties that are available.
Right. So, do you feel that the online shopping is affecting it negatively moving forward?
It's affecting everybody.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because Kim shops online all
She
the time.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
And my daughter-in-law, they have a route goes right by her house every day.
No. But restaurants are still. I mean, what's some of the newer restaurants that opened up here? Melvin's, is that right? Is that open?
Melvin's was about a year and a half ago. They're actually in the process. There's going to be a Popeyes here in town. It's going to be coming in probably this fall.
Oh wow. But with the existing buildings that are here, I know there's some antique shops out here and stuff like that.
Ace Hardware is expanding. They're going in the shopping center down here at the other end where Dickie Bubs are going to be on the opposite end.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Ace Hardware, they're going to keep the other store temporarily and see how it works out. Hopefully they'll be able to keep both of them. But they're actually going to be expanding. They're going to have lumber up here. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. There's some other businesses that are looking at Eureka right now.
Well, I just met some folks over at Poor Richard's that started working when they were friends at the original McDonald's.
Right.
And they were talking about, it was on a previous video we did, a spotlight video for Poor Richard's, and they were talking about how they were going to go over to the new McDonald's because now the old McDonald's is gone.
Yeah, they were actually over there for the grand opening.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you know what? I think I don't know. I think you guys are very crucial and important in this era for sure because so many people are wanting to move out to this area, Pacific and Washington and Eureka.
There's a lot of people that are moving west.
Go west, young man.
Yeah, out of St. Louis into the county, and then there's people moving from the county, further out west because there's such an influx of people coming into the county. They're kind of migrating west also.
I would think one of the most important questions anymore is because so many people can work remotely is, does the neighborhood or the home have high-speed internet? I mean, that's like as important as indoor plumbing.
Yeah, that's a big issue. You get out in the rural, you talked about earlier about Robertsville and Catawissa. Some of those areas, they don't have high-speed internet. They've got satellite. Where Kim and I, we live in Labadie. I mean, up until 2 years ago, we had satellite internet. I mean,
But now we have UVerse.
And does that work good?
It works fine.
Good.
I mean, we do most of our work here at the office,
Well, that's true.
and then obviously we have internet on our phone. So I mean, we use our phones a lot.
I think it is important, and it's going to be a huge difference for rural people and people that want to live rurally.
Correct.
Is the Elon Musk project, which is the Starlink, I think they call it, where you put up money and then you pay a fee. Which, if it's good, I'm willing to pay for it. That's kind of my thinking. I'm willing to pay for indoor plumbing. What does it cost? Now I want good Wi-Fi.
probably in the last 10 years, I don't know where you're at. The internet was probably not real good either.
It was limited, yeah.
Right.
Dial up actually,
Right,
but so are you always looking to hire more or partner with more real estate agents, or is
Depends.
80 just a good fighting weight?
Depends. The right agent, yes. We're very particular. A lot of brokerages, they just mass recruit.
Yeah.
If I recruit somebody that I know or somebody that I want that's going to come into our office, going to fit in our culture and our like Kim said, it's like a family.
It is, yeah. I feel like I'm part of the family.
Right, you are. But a lot of brokerages, and I don't want to say anything negative about anybody else, but there's a lot of drama in some of the brokerages. We don't have that here, and from the top to the bottom, it doesn't matter if you're selling one transaction a year or 100 transactions. They're all the same. And the person that's selling 100 will stop and help that one that's selling one. And it doesn't happen very often in this business.
Absolutely. And I guess, you guys are the owners of these offices, but do your agents look at you as the boss necessarily, or not really?
I don't think so. We had agents, they're at our house all the time, and we're at parties. We just had a picnic and barbecue at Brookdale Farms.
Oh, yeah, for all your agents, yeah.
Super Smokers catered it. We had a whole hog. All the agents and stuff, their family, their kids. Like I said, a family. It's like a big picnic.
I guess I was getting at, do you ever have to mediate between agents when there's an issue? I'm sure you have those instances.
We very, very seldom have any, Dan, and that's the truth.
Really?
We've had a couple agents over the years that just didn't fit. There were some things that they were doing that we didn't agree upon, and we've had to ask them to leave, which is never fun to do. But
right. But you want to protect your culture.
Right, and it's like any other business. We have a code of ethics, and if you're not going to live up to them and do the right thing, and our business, the first thing they teach in real estate is you're a fiduciary, which means you got to put your client's interest first. And
right.
If you're not going to do that, then this is not the place to be.
So Realty Executives Premier in High Ridge, Pacific, Washington, and Eureka, where the podcast studio is. Kim, since you started in the real estate business before Chuck did, you started off as an agent at an office, not at a Realty Executives Premier office. But at what point did you realize you wanted to partner with that brand, Realty Executives Premier?
Well, actually, we started at one brokerage, went on to another one, and then came a time that we actually were going to own a brokerage. And so we actually researched several different brokerages to find out what they were all about. And, we had an idea on the couple we had been with, but when we came across the Realty Executives brand, we really liked that we were able to communicate directly with our regionals and directly with the international office.
Wow.
And that they answered our phone calls and they were there for us. Another brand we had been with in the past, we'd put in a phone call to the international office. We wouldn't get a call back for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, boy.
You can't do business like that if you're running a brokerage. So we really felt that we got lucky in finding Realty Executives, and we've been really happy with them and communication and support, and it's been really good.
And that goes downstream too, from
right.
the headquarters to you guys, and
right.
you guys to the agents.
Correct.
You guys have checked your phones just in this conversation because you don't want to miss anything.
No, and one of the things about Realty Executives too is the training and technology that was available for the agents. It was a lot more user friendly for the agents. I've actually been on an advisory board with Realty Executives International. I go down to Phoenix. We didn't last year, but normally about 3 or 4 times a year, and I sit down with the president, the owner, vice president. We sit in a boardroom, and we go over different things that agents need and training and just the current market trends and stuff, and we adjust to that. But Realty Executives is very customer and very agent friendly.
Support. It's like our police departments. If the police departments have a good support system,
correct,
then good things can happen.
Right.
Thank you guys for everything you do for this community, Eureka and beyond. You know what? I mentioned Washington. How is that's the newest one?
It is. It's going good. It's a new market. We're growing.
Is there a lot of building going on out there?
There is. There's some new developments going on out there too. They're expanding wherever they can.
Wow.
Everything's moving. So, yeah, there's several new developments going in over in Jefferson County. There's I got to go to Alderman's meeting tonight for new development in Pacific.
You guys are always hostile.
So yeah, there's a lot of new construction going on, and there's a lot of moving parts. So.
Well, if you want to sell your house, buy your house, kick the tires on one you drove by or something, get a hold of Realty Executives Premier, because you guys and your agents can sell any house that you see online.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you guys can jump in the middle of that mix anytime.
Anywhere in Missouri, and if they want to move out of state, we've got realty executive's office all over the United States and the country, and we can.
Actually, I know that because you told me, we got offices in Miami because my dad was dealing with that down there.
We can get you set up.
And we're always available to answer questions. And if you just want to know what your home's worth, call us. We'll be happy to tell you.
Love it. You guys are awesome. Free of charge. That part's free. Our friendship is important, and I think continuing a respectable business like you do, I think, is also important, especially for this community and beyond. High Ridge, Eureka, Pacific, and Washington is where you can find Kim and Chuck Maher and Realty Executives Premier. So, from the Realty Executives Premier studios, that is Chamber Chatter, and thank you for listening. Please share this podcast. Thanks for listening to the Eureka Chamber Chatter podcast. For more information about the Eureka Chamber of Commerce, please visit eurekachamber.org. Follow the Chamber's Instagram and Facebook page. We encourage you to share this podcast on your social media platforms to spread the word about the great city of Eureka, Missouri, USA. Join us on the next Eureka Chamber Chatter podcast. Welcome to the Eureka Chamber Chatter podcast. The Eureka Chamber